Chicago P.D., arguably one of the most popular police procedurals, recently entered its 9th season, which is pretty impressive in the TV landscape, where many shows struggle for renewal. At the heart of the crime drama lies its interesting characters, who apparently are even more intriguing behind the scenes. The huge cast of the show is an accomplished bunch, and today we're going to tell you a few secrets we bet you didn't know about your favorite on-screen detectives. First, we have Patrick John Flueger, the almost Captain America. Now, we know you've grown used to seeing the charming Chris Evans as good old Cap, but in an alternate universe, Chicago PD's Patrick John Flueger would have wielded Marvel's iconic shield. Back in 2011, he auditioned for the superhero role alongside many other actors. Who'd want to pass up the opportunity to play one of the biggest heroes of the MCU? Anyway, Flueger did pretty well and ended up being shortlisted for the role. He was amongst the 5 actors who could have played the role of Captain Steve Rogers. Unfortunately for Flueger, he didn't get the part, but you know what they say, one man's loss is another man's gain. 2 years later, he was cast in the popular series and has been an important part of the on-screen investigations ever since. While Marvel found its Cap in Evans, Chicago PD found a perfect fit for the officer Adam Ruzek. We'd say things turned out pretty well for the almost Cap. He even appeared in a few films like 2011's Footloose and 2017's The Super. Next, John Seda is an ex-boxer. It feels weird to think of actors working alternate careers, but not all actors found their true calling earlier in life. Chicago PD's John Seda was into boxing before he landed a role on the silver screen. The actor behind Senior Detective Antonio Dawson on the screen was an upcoming boxer in New Jersey, and you might be surprised to know he was actually good at it. He went as far as reaching the final fight in the New Jersey Golden Gloves competition. During his boxing career, he recorded pretty impressive statistics of 21 wins with only a single loss. But fortunately for fans, he soon found his love for movies and ended up going to Hollywood. Interestingly enough, the first role he landed on screen was of a boxer too, in the 1992 Gladiator. Seda has since appeared in over 60 movies and TV shows. Now we have Jason Begay was into Scientology. Speaking of different careers, Seda isn't the only one from Chicago PD cast who switched paths. The actor behind the intelligence unit commander, Henry Hank Voigt, used to be a member of the Church of Scientology. Turns out, Jason Begay had been making appearances in promotional material for the church since 1994. In a way, he was always in the media. Believe it or not, a few really big names of Hollywood are members of Scientology to this day, including Mission Impossible's Tom Cruise and Pulp Fiction's John Travolta. But Begay quit back in 2007 and went on to become a huge critic of the church later. He went as far as attending protests. We do wonder what happened that drove the actor to such an extent. The reason for his departure from the church still remains unknown. Up next, Sophia Bush is a hardcore activist. Sophia Bush is best known for her role in the 2003 drama series One Tree Hill as Brooke Davis. She later graced Chicago PD as the tough, no-nonsense detective Erin Lindsay for a couple of seasons. However, she didn't stay through the entirety of the show and left the series back in 2018. A year after her departure, the actor revealed that the extreme conditions on set drove her to quit the show. According to Bush, it was a consistent onslaught barrage of abusive behavior. And if you know Sophia off-screen, you'd know that she doesn't put up with problematic behavior. When she's not acting, she spends her time being an activist, fighting for causes that matter to her. She's campaigned for issues like climate change, gay rights, for education, and for the eradication of racism, amongst other issues. She also took part in the fight against cancer, but probably the most impressive thing on her resume as an activist is that she's a founding member of the Time's Up. Bush surely knows how to spend her time off the screen productively and meaningfully. Next, Jesse Lee and Sophia Bush were a couple. Detective Jay Halstead is one of the most beloved characters on Chicago PD, even for Sophia Bush. Both the lead characters shared a flirtatious relationship and took their sweet time getting together. Turns out, sparks were flying between Jesse and Sophia, even off-screen. The co-stars started dating back in May 2014. No wonder they shared such an amazing chemistry. However, their behind-the-scenes relationship lasted for 2 years before they broke up in November 2016. But they managed to stay good friends even after that. Next, Amy Morton is a Broadway star. Amy Morton might not look like it with her hard-headed character on the show, but in reality, she's one of the most decorated actresses on Broadway. Throughout her career, she's collected a total of 13 awards, most of them for Best Actress in a Play. Morton's role as Trudy Platt in Chicago PD isn't her first rodeo in a police procedural. In fact, she was also a part of the CBS series Blue Bloods from 2013 to 2014. Interestingly, she's one of the few actors who have made an appearance on all 4 shows of the Chicago universe. Now, we have the truth behind Jason Begay's intimidating voice. If you're a fan of the show, then you know Jason Begay's character can be a tad bit intimidating. But being the leader and all, his character has to be. His graveled voice contributes greatly to his role, but the actor behind Sergeant Hank Voigt didn't always sound sound like that. He owes his gruff voice to a nearly fatal accident. Back in 1991, a car crash landed Begay in hospital for several days. He had to be intubated for a long time, which ended up changing his voice forever. Thankfully, his back and rib injuries healed with time as well. Of course, he was initially concerned about this new voice, but he eventually figured out that he could make his new voice work. We'd say he did a pretty good job at making the best out of a bad situation. Next, the Lucky Unlucky Trio. 3 of Chicago PD's co-stars were actually supposed to come together for another season previously. Jesse Lee, Patrick Flueger, and Sophia Bush were all cast in an unsold NBC pilot called Hatfields and McCoys. Lee and Flueger were supposed to play brothers on screen, while their former co-star Bush was to play their sister. Unfortunately, the show never got a go-ahead, but at the same time, all 3 of the stars were cast in Chicago PD only 6 months later, with vastly different roles, of course. They were fated to be co-stars, you could say. Another mention, Marina Scorciati is a comedian off-camera. On screen, Marina is Kimberly Burgess, a police officer in the CPD intelligence unit with a heart of gold. She's been winning hearts since pretty much the start of Chicago PD. Turns out people love her just as much off-screen for her humor. She's quite the comedian on set and ran a skit series known as Special Skills Show. Marina's comedy did much more than just provide comic relief. Her skit ended up winning a competition organized by the one and only Kevin Hart. Other than that, here's a fun little bit of trivia for you. She was actually out of the last few episodes of Chicago PD Season 4 because of maternity leave. In the episodes that she was in, she was mostly holding boxes or a bunch of file folders to cover up her baby bump. Next up, Tracy Spiridakis has an interesting lineage. Tracy Spiridakis' character is a pretty interesting one, with her killer instincts, humor, and smarts. She's just as interesting behind the camera. Born in Winnipeg, Tracy is a Greek Canadian, and before you can ask, yes, she speaks the language fluently. The showrunners drew from her real heritage and wrote it into her character on Chicago PD. Remember her debut episode when we found out her parents owned a Greek diner in Canada? That bit was actually true. Tracy's parents did in fact own a Greek diner in Canada. Despite her thoughtful debut, Tracy wasn't meant to be a permanent member on the show. Apparently, her role as Detective Haley Upton began as a 3-episode arc in Season 4, but luckily for fans, by Season 5, she was promoted to a series regular. Lastly, Begay and producer Wolf, the powerful TV duo. You probably have seen Begay in loads of police procedurals like Law & Order Special Victims Unit and Chicago Justice, amongst others. One thing they all have in common other than Begay is producer Dick Wolf. Best known for creating one of the longest-running sagas, Law & Order, as well as the Chicago franchise, Wolf clearly has a soft spot for Begay. It seems that every series that the duo teams up for ends up being a success. We're guessing that has a lot to do with their great working relationship. And that wraps up our video for today, folks. Which of the Chicago PD's cast secrets surprised you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.